So, HCL community, we are here with Tech and Gaming News, introductions.
Dalton Dooley.
My name is Buell, and when it comes to this industry, there's not really anything I don't do. PR, social, community management, writer, editor. I do it all for AgroGamer, Pwn.com, and NuclearWinterEnt.com. I don't know, it's been a long weekend.
Yeah, it has. So, question to both, how did you get started in the industry?
Accidentally. You just kind of fall into it. And it's just one of those things that happens. I don't think most people have purposely tried to get into like the games journalism and stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's people who have, but for me, I joined a website as just a regular user, and then got asked to help moderate, just to make sure people stay in line, follow the rules, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then just more and more responsibilities were undertaken until I got made into an admin, and I got made into, words gone. I got made into the community manager, so it's like I went from just making sure people followed the rules to making sure things ran smoothly to making sure people knew what was going on, and then now I actually email companies and talk with like developers and do giveaways, and then make sure people know about things that we're doing, and then we also have a news site now, and I write for that, and then because of that I've now spun off into a friend of mine's site that they just launched as an editor, and they also do clothing as well. So it's like, and that's not even just gaming, that's movies and music, anything, comics, everything.
Yeah.
So you just kind of fall into it, it's who you know. And it's sad to say that almost every industry, it's who you know, not necessarily what you know. But what you know does help. So just find somebody and show them that you can do it. And hopefully they give you a chance.
I started out doing blogs on just about everything. Lost interest. Went on to the next one. Had a green, eco-friendly product review site. That went down, and one day I just kind of was on my Twitter looking at everything that was going on with the gaming, and it kind of just finally clicked. Do something I love. Cover the video game, board games, tabletop games, technology, and I haven't looked back. Started in February of last year, and it's going big now. This is our first official event, and I wouldn't trade it. Contacts, you meet a lot of people, you get a lot of info. But it's easy to get into if you're willing to put the time into it. Whether you do vlogs, blogs, podcasts, anything, you put the time in it, you're going to get seen eventually. And just make it your passion.
What are some of the challenges that new people trying to get into it might face, though?
Responses from emails. Outside, that's a huge, getting the recognition. Most sites, some sites want you to have a certain amount of readers, hits, visits a day, month, collectively, and they add you to their, but it's just, I'd say that's probably the biggest hurdle trying to get over is getting.
It kind of makes a catch-22 situation. They want you to have a certain amount of, like a certain subscriber base, like a certain level of hits and views a month, but before they give you anything, before they can get stuff. And then in order for you to really get those hits, you have to have the stuff in the first place that you're trying to get, and so it kind of creates a loop. So unless you're willing to put in the money to, for instance, game reviews, unless you're willing to put in the money to buy the games up front, when they first come out, then you're not going to get that kind of reader base. And then as you start doing that, they will start sending you review copies of things. The best thing I can personally recommend anybody trying to get into that to do is hit up the indies. Hit up the smaller companies, people who need that attention. For instance, new BioShock game. They don't need publicity. Everybody knows BioShock's coming out, But look at games like DuckTales Remastered is getting ready to come out. And it's like, that's being done by Way Forward, who also just did the Double Dragon Neon game. Hit people up like that, where they want their game to sell, but nobody knows about it. those people will be more than happy usually to send you something. And as long as you put in a review and do the work for it, they'll send you more.
And remember, anything, if you're serious about it, if you put the money into it, if you buy a game, it is all able to be tax write-off as a home-based business. So keep that in mind. That the material you buy or use can be beneficial in the end.
What is generically the structure and how someone would engage the PR department or an HR department?
You pretty much have two standard ways of going about things, and in my opinion, neither of them really work well. You kind of want to balance between the two. You can either go straight professional and just be all like, this is my website, this is what I write for, this is what I do, that sort of thing, and I would like such and such, and just be completely professional about it, which ends up coming off, you're not memorable. You're just like everyone else. Or you could go fanboy and just completely gush about why you want this game and why you should be given a copy or reviewing or whatever you're looking for, whether it be merchandise or an interview. And then you just come off as kind of stalkery. In my opinion, the best way is to kind of balance the two. Stay professional and straightforward, but at the same time, let them know that you are a legitimate fan and you're not just doing this as a business relation. That you'd like to, that you understand the content. You're not just there because it's a job. And I find I get the best responses when I stay in the middle there, when I do know what I'm talking about, when I am a fan, but I'm level about it.
And you got your general emails you can send in, or calls work. I've gotten more responses calling into the companies, and if it's been a few months you haven't heard anything, just write a letter, just mail it to them. And you got different options that you get various responses when you put your time into what you want to do.
Always remember, it's much harder to say no to an actual person you're talking to, that you can hear the emotion in their voice, than it is to just ignore an email. You send an email and it's just text on the screen, you don't care. But you hear somebody on the voice or in person, it's much harder to be like, to see that and then tell them no and watch their spirits get crushed. It's harder for people to do. So always remember, phone calls, these events are better than emails, but emails are usually the most straightforward and easiest to send out a lot at a time.
And with regards to building those connections, what are some of the best ways to build those?
Best way to build those, again, start small. Find out who the PR reps are, who the community managers are, the faces of whatever you're looking for. So for instance, what is her name? Jessica Shea, I think. It's the community manager for 343, Ayla Waypoint, and stuff like that. She's the one that's always pushing out the events and letting people know what's going on. She's not anybody of real power. She can't guarantee you anything, but she can then put you in contact with people who can. She's going to have more pull than you will. And if you can befriend these community managers, that's their job, is they're the go-between, then you're going to be much more likely to get somewhere. Befriend the PR reps. The PR reps are the ones who a lot of times say yay or nay on what's going on. So it's like you may want to interview, for instance, Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon. Ed Boon is going to be really hard to get a hold of. In the first place, he's a very busy guy. Get a hold of their PR rep. I don't know what their name is, but get a hold of the PR rep. PR rep might be the one to say, this site gets a lot of hits. This could be good for your reputation. Or be like, this site's nowhere. There's no reason for it. It's just Blogspot. And so it's good to just email those people. And like I said, they may not seem like much, but their pull is what you want. And also, again, events like this, always.
Yeah, networking is your friend. Social media, Twitter, in person,
LinkedIn.
Definitely LinkedIn is, the more people you connected with, the more they'll be connected with somebody else. And everybody knows everybody somehow.
What would be some of the best advice you could give people that want to get into the industry to be successful at what they want to do?
Know their stuff. The best way is to know your stuff and be active in the community. A lot of gamers tend to be socially awkward, even online. Don't be hard to approach, but at the same time, don't make it so people don't want to approach you either. Just like I said, I started off as a socialnetworkporn.com. That's where I started. as just a regular member. Forums are a good spot, you know. Be active in the community, know what you're talking about, and start doing the job before it's your job. If somebody is on the forums, for instance, Irrational Games, say somebody needs help in, you know, Borderlands. Now, sometimes it can take a few days before one of the actual moderators or admins or developers can get back to you on an issue you're having, because they're people. If you know the answer, speak up, help out anyway. Become somebody that has a reputation before you need to have it. And just be active. Just engage it. Basically, it goes back to the old saying, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. And that applies in action as well. It's, you know, a metaphor for everything. You know, do what you want to do before it is what you want.
Don't rush it. Spend time on what you want to do, what you want your niche to be, whether it be YouTube, a blog, social media. Really sit down, think, reach out to some other sites and get advice. There's a ton of options. Never rush it. Always make sure you know what you want and take the time to see it in the full aspect of it, rather than get it there, get it done, get it up. Just sit down, focus, and just brainstorm what you want to be the end project.
Also, make sure if you're writing, make sure what you write is something that you want to read yourself. You know, don't just write a review and be like, oh my god, this game is awesome, you should go get it. Why should they go get it? What is good about it? And even if you completely love the game, there's going to be downsides to it. Explain what those downsides are. For instance, there's some games that are complete crap. You know, they're buggy as hell, you know, they're not well made, but they may be fun as hell, you know? Make sure you explain that. Just because a game isn't necessarily well made, sometimes that makes it that much more fun. You know, sometimes the bugs in Skyrim or Oblivion, paintbrush glitch. You can climb towers on paintbrushes, you know? And it's sometimes things like that that actually add value rather than taking it away. And just make sure you add the level of detail. Be as thorough as possible, but don't sound like you're a computer-generated review. You don't want it to be
honest. Be honest.
Give it a personal flair. Imagine you're talking to one of your friends and they're trying to convince you to buy a game. That's what you're doing.
And how would someone find their niche, though?
Do something you love. One of the old sayings is basically, if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. If you don't like movies, don't do movies. If you do it. Games the same way. If you're not really a real gamer, you know, if you don't understand the ins and outs of playing games, if you're just a casual gamer, why would you be getting into it? So, you know, your niche would be whatever you're into. So if you really love first-person shooters, if you really, that's your stuff, then, you know, make an FPS or, you know, third-person shooter-based, you know, reviews. I mean, you have sites like MMORPG, I think it's, anyway, they only do MMO reviews. That's it. And that's their niche. You know, they have the MMO market covered when it comes to reviews and information and giveaways. And there's other sites out there. FPS Banana, for instance, is a modding community purely for first-person shooters. And you know, if you're a general gamer and you play everything, then do everything. You know. And you may eventually branch off by bringing in writers who do other things. But to start off with, focus on what you like and do that. Because if you have the passion for it, it's going to come out in your work and other people are going to see it. And it's going to be a much more convincing story.
And even in the opposite facet of it, if you don't want to start a whole site but you're really geared and want to be in the industry, if you only play iOS games, reach out to one of the other sites around and see if you can start writing for them or freelancing for them. The options are endless. It just depends on what you love, what you want to do, and what you're comfortable with.
As a gamer, as a consumer perspective, our site leans on the consumer end of things. We focus on customers and, you know, the interaction between developers and customers and publishers and whatnot. what kind of, I don't want to say PR, but what kind of relationship is between, what kind of relationship can there be between, say, like a PR aspect and the consumer that more than there is now? Because like a site like ours, there's going to be a lien, obviously. So it has a hard, like when you approach a PR aspect, and I would understand the apprehension with that kind of lien, obviously. But
respect the little guys.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no telling where we'll be or anyone else will be. So take the time and give a response.
Yeah.
Saying no is more of a response than not replying back, period.
You have people who kind of forget that the whole reason that they are where they are is because of people buying their games, because of the people, doing the games in the first place. So if somebody emails you, even if it's just to say, I love your work, it only takes 5 minutes to say thanks. Somebody has a question, make sure you listen to the little guy, no matter what. Whether you're a PR, whether you're a writer, whether you actually are the people that make the games. Always make sure your fans are why you are who you are. And without them, you wouldn't be anywhere. And never forget that.